the Mega Cap. This kit here is what allows mini kegs to work. It can be bought separately in a little box like this with a sticker, and the exact same thing comes inside the Fridge Tap kit and the Pro Tap kit, which are both designed to work with mini kegs. So if you bought the Fridge Tap kit or the Pro Tap kit and you want to have multiple kegs, well, this is what allows you to do that. Then suddenly you can use the same kit on another keg, just like that. You can do the same thing with the Fridge Tap kit. Just snap the picnic tap off here, onto here. Be careful with your SodaStream bottle. You don't want to knock it over. Okay, let's open this up, see what we got. I wonder if anyone notices it says, cut here to open flap. Just like that. What you get inside is a little sample of keg lube, the Mega Cap itself, and 2 feet of silicone hose. The little keg lube sample is just a little squirt of the Haze Lubrafilm Plus. It's sanitary, non-toxic, odorless, and tasteless. This is the main lube they use in the beverage industry. And we just put a little squirt of that inside these little makeup jars. And that little dab will last you a long time. And it's just, when you pull back the collar here, and you go to push down on these, sometimes these flow restrictors especially, are a little sticky. This one's already lubed up, but you would just put a little tiny dab there, like that. You put a little bit more inside here like that. And then your quick disconnect will just slide right on there like nothing. So let's talk about the dip tube. We're gonna do some snipping. Okay, when you cut your dip tube, you wanna cut it at a little bit of an angle like that, because you wanna avoid the hose getting stuck right to the bottom directly. Now, in the years I've been doing this, it's only happened once, but I don't want you to be number 2. So if you're like me, you can pull out your Fat Max here and measure with that, or you could just eyeball it. I mean, if you're touching the bottom there, just snip it a little bit above, and that will be about 8 inches, you know. Here's the thing about these kegs. These kegs are in US measurements. These kegs are in metric because of the glass growler. So this is 64 ounces, the same as this. This is double that. Then we switch over to 5 liters, which is the most common size of a party keg in Europe. You know, one of these things. And then this is double that. So because I'm Canadian, sometimes I call this 2 liters and 4 liters, but it's not really. It's 64 ounces and 128 ounces. This is really 5 liters, and this is really 10 liters. So for the 64 ounce keg, it's 8 inches. For the 128 ounce keg, it's 14 inches. For the 5 liter keg, it's 12 inches. And for the 10 liter keg, it's 20 inches. It also drives me crazy when people tell me about their brew day in Fahrenheit. That's a different story. So then you simply shove that onto the barb, like that. You might want to put a little bit of this keg lube on this thread right here. And that's just if every once in a while you go to tighten this cap, and at the end you'll get a squeak. I didn't that time because I just lubed it. If you want another sample of this lube, I set the price to a penny, so you can add it to any order. And that's ready to go. Well, you got to put your beer or kombucha or something in there.
When it comes to cleaning your kegs or kits, a good rinse with hot water is often enough, as long as you do it right when the keg is empty. If you want a deeper clean, we have these handy tablets from Craftmeister that do an amazing job. Look how well it works on this stained coffee mug. Just fill your keg with hot water and pop in a tablet. Let it sit for at least 10 minutes and you can flush your taps to your heart's content. After that, just rinse everything thoroughly with hot water and set it out to dry. All our kits are easy to disassemble for a more thorough rinsing and can be reassembled just as quick. If you are a hardcore beer nerd and really want to get in there, you can completely disassemble your taps and soak them in PBW. But then again, if you're a hardcore beer nerd, you already know that. If you plan on storing the beer for more than a few days, you'll want to use a sanitizer to get the oxygen off the walls of the keg. I always have a spray bottle on hand to do this. Just fill up with hot water and mix in about 1 milliliter of Star Sand for your average spray bottle.
So for the most part, just rinsing it or flushing it is plenty for most people. But I know there's beer nerds out there that want to see this completely taken apart, so let's do it. So first we'll remove the gas post. And inside you got your little tiny dip tube. And there's your barbed stem. Sometimes it'll just take off the disconnect stem. Other times it'll take both of them at the same time. And you'll have to get a separate wrench to separate these two, like that. So now we got our dip tube stem there. And we've got our two quick disconnect posts. They both have these tiny little dip tubes in them, which are interchangeable, so don't worry about mixing them up. Inside, both of them will have a poppet with a spring. And again, these are all interchangeable. However, these two are not. The one with the notch is gas. So you can unscrew your pressure release valve. Depending on what you want to do, we also carry other pressures. I believe the red is 35. That's 100. The yellow is 15. And this one's 65. Hope I got those all right. If not, the correction will be on the screen. In my experience, generally people that are force carbonating beer or soda will go all the way up to 100. People are serving soda, Prosecco, something like that, will use the 65. 35 is good for serving beer. And people use the yellow on the 15 for doing pressurized fermentations. But I'm sure you've come up with other uses out there. So now we'll remove the last two posts. So the pressure release and then the gas. These two are also interchangeable. And there you have it, completely taken apart. Ah, I haven't taken the O-rings off yet, have I? As of this recording, we don't have a complete kit put together. We have most of these rings. Maybe by the time you see this video, I'll have it as a complete kit. You can buy these poppets separately. Oh, and by the way, these are standard industry poppets that work with regular corny kegs. So I could take those off there and put them on here, no problem. And while I mention that, we also have this one, which is called a multi-post. It's got two notches in it, which means the same disconnects will fit on either one. Normally, you got to make sure that you put the gas on the gas post and the liquid on the liquid post, or else it'll get stuck. But this post, you can go either way, which is great for when you're trying to transfer from one keg to another and you want to do liquid to liquid. But you nerds already know that. We also have one that's just a double-ended. I sell a surprising amount of these. And then there's a disconnect that actually screws into the Nuka taps. And I'm bringing it up because it has the exact same washers and poppets and everything as the Mega Cap. You can do that. That's for doing direct transfers straight from your taps, which is in a different video. And here's the little bags with the replacement poppets and springs. Okay, so the two rings for those are the same, and that one. So that makes sense. The three rings there are the three rings that seal there. These are the rings that are gonna wear out the most if you're using your kegs a lot, because you're gonna be snapping on and off constantly. We definitely have those on the site. You're gonna need one of these handy little tools. Get yourself a little cheap hook off Amazon for $3 or whatever it was. So yeah, these O-rings wear out. These ones, I would say second. The poppets, not really. I've never had these wear out because unless you're taking it apart constantly, these will just seal once and that's done. Now these rings are fantastic. Some of the older taps, I got a whole video about this. They just get all bunched up and gummy and just terrible. But they finally figured it out when they came up these green ones. So there you go. Completely taken apart. Soak it, PVW, whatever you want to do. So let's see how fast we can put this back together. Put these three rings back on here. Pop, pop, pop. Then we go back on the bottom here. Little guy on there. Poppets. Okay, rings are all on. Dip tube in the middle. Doesn't matter which side you put these on. We'll fill our two disconnect posts. Slide the poppet at the narrow end of the spring. Put it in, put your dip tube in. The one without a notch is liquid. The one with a notch is gas. It goes on the side. Obviously the liquid comes from the dip tube, right? And then you put your pressure release back in. If you're having trouble getting it to thread, just turn backwards until you feel it click. And then you can go forward. Pro tip. And just tighten it all up. Put your dip tube back on. Spin it on the keg. And then you might want to reapply a little loop to the post. Fully assembled.